Hello, everyone. Look who it is. He's the cat of the hour, the cat of the power. It's RJ, making a rare video appearance. And before Catterday. There you go, RJ. There you go. All right, dinner time for you soon. Don't bite me. Anyway, I hope everyone is well. I'm tired. It's been a long week, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this video. It's simple, it's easy, it's funny, and I need a palate cleanser. I was asked online by a a follower or subscriber called Forever Twilight. I think that's their name, or it's part of their Twitter handle, to cover a trailer for some Showtime show called "It's Gonna Be All White." Right? I've watched the trailer. I have to watch it again because it's been a few days, but I will cover the trailer. I've seen it get some traction online. Suffice it to say, it embodies everything that I dislike about modern day discourse about race, in particular, the discourse about race between whites and blacks, right? White Americans and black Americans, and the very uneasy, at times checkered history uh, that white America has with black America and all that. So I will be covering that. But the reason I'm doing this one first is because it's simple, it's easy. I need a palate cleanser, and I'm not in the mood to be angry tonight. This is basically it. So I saw this online, and it's a super cut of this woman's testimony, plea, insanity. I don't know, but it talks about, well, rather she talks about she. And I don't often bring race into things, but since she's going to bring race into things, I'm going to bring race into things. Keep in mind that everything she's saying, everything that I will easily debunk, right, is being said by a skinny, privileged white woman. And the reason why I say she is privileged is because she's able to do this, right? She's probably never had to actually go hunting for food outside of going to the supermarket or ordering from a local restaurant, right? So that she would demean uh, hunter gatherer cultures by claiming that hunting for meat or hunting in general, right? Meat eating is problematic and is. She makes some outrageous claims, but just from like a cultural perspective, knowing how important hunting was and still is to a lot of cultures, and in particular a lot of indigenous tribal cultures, right, that have not modernized, right, that she would say such things. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, yes, it has to be a progressive white liberal to say something this damn dumb. But anyway, um, let's listen. I'll play it first without commentary, and then I will add commentary. And I know that especially when I play it here, it tends to echo. I apologize. Come on, play.
The assumption that the best protein comes from corpses is a racist belief. How do you know the animal would have picked you to feed off their corpse? 21st century animal eating requires our complicity in a new colonialism. These events especially affect girls and young women. Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny. Popular culture is flooded with references to sexy cows, sexy pigs, sexy chickens, sexy fishes, who all just want to have fun. Meat eating is also one of the ways gender-based structures of oppression are perpetuated. Masculinity, a construct of the gender binary facing constant destabilization, feels always under threat, and eating animals is its protection racket. White supremacists weaponized it, eating meat, eggs, and dairy, and the baiting of liberal men as so-called soy boys are all part of the neo-Nazi messaging. To say you care about animals is considered a sign of weakness in a world still committed to the gender binary. Meat eaters, like anti-abortionists, have forgotten that one quality of non-existence is not having awareness about existence. When all else fails, meat eaters assert that animals are not our equals. I heard all your laughter. I know some of these must be new ideas, or you think they're fringe or whatever. Our whiteness is part of the problem of meat eating.
So there you go, right? So there it is. I tried very hard to not interrupt. Right now, I have no idea whether or not she's actually sincere about all this. I believe she is. To my knowledge, she is. Everybody's treating it as serious. But yeah. So I'm gonna play this again, and I'm gonna stop at a certain point and explain why she's wrong and why actually her assertion, right, that meat eating is sexist, racist, misogynist, another problematic element of whiteness and all this other stuff is actually a racist claim and a sexist claim and all this other stuff. So let's go over it again.
I believe we should move beyond all meat. The assumption that the best protein comes from corpses is a racist belief.
Okay. There's always going to be debate about, how to get protein, which protein sources are better, which are worse, which are healthier for you. This is a debate that's long been going on in sports communities, health communities, bodybuilding communities, right? I am very much a believer in, get it however you can, so long as you're comfortable with it. Some people like to eat meat. Some people just eat, dark leafy greens like spinach or kale, or they'll eat things like lentil soup, right? A lot of people, especially if you do bodybuilding or whatnot, they'll take creatine or other um, powders or whatnot to get the protein and to get the amino acids that they need to fuel their bodies and allow them to get back in the gym sooner and all that other stuff. That's always going to be up for debate. I say do what's healthiest and best for you. And I want to be clear, I have no problem with vegans or vegetarians. I'm not vegan and or vegetarian. I'm an unrepentant meat eater. But if vegan and vegetarianism is how you eat for whatever your reasons are, I am perfectly respectful. I'm not going to tell you to eat meat, right? Just don't act like this lady and we won't have any problems. But her to assert that it's racist, right, to hunt, to feed off of corpses, as she says. Well, would she prefer that I eat her? Well, she's a bit skinny though. But how does she think people fed themselves? Unless she wants to invoke cannibalism, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be part of the Donner Party. If you don't get that reference, read a history book. But yeah, to assert that various cultures, many as would be termed today, POC cultures, right, are racist because they hunt or they hunted, right? Many cultures have adapted into the modern age, but many haven't. There are still some that are tribal and they live according to the old ways, right? But to assert that they're racist, right, because they fed off corpses is racist in itself. You're basically calling the various native indigenous tribes to North America, right, the U.S. and Canada, racist. You're calling the indigenous tribes of Central and South America racist. You're calling the tribes that are native to Australia, right, the Aboriginals, racist. You're calling the Ainu in Japan racist, right? They live or lived on Hokkaido, very cold place to live, right? You the Inuit, right? Up in Alaska and similar areas, right? So you're calling all of these groups that are not white, right? Not descendant of Europeans, racist because they dare to have hunting as part of their culture and they dare to literally keep themselves alive by going wherever the animals were because it was that or die. Especially for many cultures where farming, agriculture was not easy or sometimes impossible, or even in areas where you could farm, right? That was dependent on weather, right? Good luck. I mean, like if it's not uncommon, for example, right, for a place that's fertile and has farmland to have famines or to to have an underwhelming season, right? Various seasons for different foods and fruits and all that. So you're demonizing history itself and humanity itself for daring to hunt animals, and you want to call that racist? That's not racist. That's not racist. It's the like. It is unracist because everybody eats meat. Well, not everybody, nearly everyone, right? It's much more likely someone eats meat than they don't. And historically, humans have eaten meat. So there's only one racist, and I would say it's the lady in the ugly jacket. But that's just me. But continuing.
How do you know the animal would have picked you to feed off?
My dear, have you heard of ravens? They're kind of famous for being scavengers. How do you know the animal wouldn't feed off of you? Then again, you don't have a lot of meat, so maybe they wouldn't. But anyway,
Their corpse. 21st century animal eating requires our complicity in a new colonialism.
because everybody in the world has easy access to food, to meat, like we do here in America and in the West. Because every American has easy access to meat. Every American can just go to the supermarket and buy meat. It's not like you have some who are so dirt poor that for them the poverty line is a goal to reach, right? It's nothing like that, right? And there are so many people across the world, especially in second and third world countries, undeveloped parts of the world or parts that are developing, right? Where it's just so easy to just go to a large, supermarket where everything's nice and cool, right? And just go get your food. I mean, hunting is totally unnecessary in the modern world, right? Everybody lives the same. Everyone lives the same. There's no need to hunt anymore. If you're going to talk about privilege, honey, then look in the mirror. Before you lecture anybody else individually or collectively about privilege, make sure you check your own privilege.
These events especially affect girls and young women.
Tell me how, because I eat meat all the damn time. I literally have hamburgers for breakfast. I had a hamburger for breakfast and some chicken. I had a sausalito later too, so that's turkey. I've been eating meat all day. When I get dinner, I'll probably eat some meat too. So explain to me, skinny white lady. Tell me how meat eating hurts me as a woman. Come on, explain it. I want to hear your explanation for this.
Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny.
The hamburger. Of all the things that they put in animals and animal meat these days, right? The hormones, all the various medicines and pills, right? And the things she could be advocating for, right? Like more humane conditions for the animals, less force feeding, things of that nature, right? Of all the things, she claims that the issue is misogyny. The burger came, so the burger I had this morning as the first meal of my day had misogyny in it. You know what? This must explain why, unlike most of Twitter, I don't freak out when I see sexy fictional women and I actually champion them. That's where the misogyny came from, and the constant defense for women to be able to display themselves as they please. It was the meat. I had no idea that all this time I was embracing my inner Gaston. I am so sorry.
Popular culture is flooded with references to sexy cows, sexy pigs, sexy chickens, sexy fishes, who all just want to have fun.
She's just a sexy chick, sexy chick. If you know your pro wrestling, you will know what that was a parody of. But here's what I find funny. First of all, she forgot the sexy Eminem. She forgot the sexy green female Eminem. But then again, maybe she left it out because she didn't want to be accused of misogyny, right? But what I find funny is that she complains about how, oh yes, there's sexy chickens and there's sexy cows and there's sexy dolphins and all this other stuff. It's like, honey, you do realize that plenty of foods that are not meat are associated with sex too, like carrots or bananas. What do you think a woman is suggesting when she slowly and seductively peels a banana and eats it? What do you think she's implying, especially if she's doing this in the presence of a man? What do you think she's implying, right? Or the classic, strawberry cover, sorry, chocolate covered strawberries, right? That's long been associated with, romance and sex. So her argument of, it's misogynist or whatever the hell it is, because it's associated with sex. It's like, well, guess what? Non-meat options are associated with sex too. Guess what? Humans are sexual beings. So yes, we will attribute sexual attributes to any and everything. If you don't want to be human, I'm sorry, but that's what humanity is. We are sex driven, we are sex soaked, we are sex obsessed. We see sex everywhere. Just like you see misogyny everywhere, everybody else is like, that is a damn sexy chicken. I'm gonna give me some chicken breast, some chicken legs. Cook that up real nice. Come on.
Meat eating is also one of the ways gender based structures of oppression are perpetuated. Masculinity, a construct of the gender binary facing constant destabilization, feels always under threat, and eating animals is its protection racket. White supremacists weapon.
Sorry, I overplayed that a bit. The funny thing is that she is right about masculinity being under attack, but for the wrong reasons. Masculinity is being destabilized and is under attack because of women like her, who can't accept the fact that, yes, there are two genders. Right? There always have been. Even individuals who do not necessarily fit firmly within the gender binary, such as non binary or trans individuals, still, sooner or later, are going to have to choose a gender. There is no gender X. I hate to break it to you. Right? But this idea that meat eating, right, is this last hold for masculinity. Here's the thing. Yes, historically, hunting has been a man's job, right? It's been part of a man's gender role throughout many cultures in human history, right? And that's fair, right? Because there was a division of labor, right? Women typically stayed at the camp or at the tent or at home or whatever, and they did the domestic stuff, generally speaking. And that was not easy, right? Keeping house, cooking the food, taking care of the children. Oftentimes, especially in tribal cultures, because they're very communal, it's not just your own child you're looking after the children of the tribe while the men are out hunting or fighting in war or whatever it is. So, yes, typically the men went out and they did the very dangerous stuff, and the women stayed home and did, a lot of what in the modern day would call housekeeping, which was not easy, nor was it demeaning. But in the modern day, especially for those of us lucky enough to have enough resources to live decently enough in the modernized first world, typically the Western world, right? The gathering of foodstuffs is largely unisex now, right? People shop. People, men and women, and kids, right, shop for themselves or they shop for their families. I literally did food shopping earlier today, and guess what I picked up? Chicken and steak. Because I need my chicken and steak. So please explain to me again how this eating of meat, right, or hunting, has been historically oppressive, especially in the because here's the thing. While culturally it was men who did hunting, there have been instances in history where a woman or women, right, either because of cultural norms or due to extenuating circumstances, had to hunt. Even in the animal kingdom, right? It's understood that the lioness is the one who does the hunting. So it's not as if women never hunted. It just was not a common job. But for people like her, people like me, and most people who at least have enough resources for a regular internet connection, this is not something we have to worry about anymore. It's no longer man's work or woman's work. It's simply work. And especially in the modern day, if you really don't want to, you really don't want to go out there, you can't find the time, you go on Amazon or you go on whatever site, right? Grubhub or whatever it is, right? And you just order your groceries or you order a meal for yourself. It's easier than ever. And it's not a gender based thing anymore, at least in the modern world. Perhaps in many tribal cultures that haven't modernized, sure. But in the modern world, which is what we are talking about, no. It's unisex. It's simply feeding yourself.
Organized it, eating meat, eggs, and dairy.
Oh, sorry. She had also mentioned white supremacy. Stupid argument. Everybody has to eat. Food does not care about race. Food is a part of culture, certainly, but food does not care about race. And again, I did not encounter anybody today, white or not, who said, "Miss, you can't have that slab of meat because you're brown." If they did say that, I would simply leave the store and report them to the Better Business Bureau. This is not hard. This lady.
And the baiting of liberal men as so-called soy boys are.
Yeah, I do think that the term soy boy is a pretty silly, stupid insult. It's childish, same way cuck was a few years ago. But let's be honest, the internet brings out the immaturity in all of us, and I'm certainly not immune to that or above that. There have been plenty of times when I've been less than kind or less than mature in a video or in a tweet or a post or something, so I won't act like I'm better than everybody else. But yeah, I do in general find that phrase to be annoying to me personally, especially since it thrives on this idea that, oh, because soy either has estrogen or ups a man's estrogen, that it makes him effeminate. And if he's effeminate, he's weak. It's like you have no idea how much strength it takes to be a woman. So unless you do, please stop associating weakness with femininity. It is not weak to be female. Just because women tend to be physically weaker than men does not mean that we are weak as individuals. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet, good and bad, in your life will be women. We have built up men, we have torn them down. So please stop associating weakness with femininity. It is not weak, it is simply different. But anyway, moving on.
All part of the neo-Nazi messaging.
Sure, that's it. That's it. Because that's what neo Nazis are. That's their goal. That's it. Everybody's gonna turn into a Nazi because they eat meat. Even the Jews, who the neo Nazis hate, they're gonna turn into into Nazis because they eat meat. Okay, lady. Sure. Sure.
To say you care about animals is considered a sign of weakness in a.
Who says that caring about animals is weakness? Who said this? Who? Give us a quote.
World still committed to the gender binary.
because the gender binary is literally humanity itself. Again, there is no gender X. But anyway, so this whatever the hell she's saying, I don't even know no more. Right? But this idea, like I'm like literally lost. She literally just spoke. I can't remember what the hell she said. This is how this is how silly it is. This is how silly it is. Oh god. Right, but again, she just makes absolutely no sense. And the thing is that she makes vegetarians and vegans look bad because people who are against it are gonna point to her and go, see, she's part of your group, right? You're just like her, which of course is not a fair assessment, but that's what people are gonna do, especially people who already have a negative association or a negative bias toward that particular diet or lifestyle, right? Moving on, because I legit don't remember what the hell she just said.
Meat eaters, like anti abortionists, have forgotten that one quality of non existence is not having awareness about existence.
You think animals are not aware that they exist? That's your argument? You seriously think that, lady? That animals are not aware that they exist? This is like the people who argue that animals don't have emotions. Stupid argument that is easily disproven the moment you actually own an animal. Oh, now I remember. She said something about people thinking that animals or caring for animals is weak or whatever, right? No, most people don't think caring for animals is weak, but the thing is that we do view different animals differently, depending on the culture that we grew up in and the country and the time period that we live in. For example, most people in the West view animals like cats, dogs, right, as household companions, pets, right, to the point that even, especially for dogs, right, dogs like golden retrievers or German shepherds or huskies, mainly any northern breed, working dogs, right, for many are no longer used for work, right? There are some like German shepherd police dogs and all that, but a lot of people who own these dogs in the modern day don't own them for a particular job or task. They own them mainly, to be a pet, right? A animal member of the family, a companion, perhaps a companion that can defend the home, right? There are certain breeds like Akitas, German Shepherds, Dobermans that are noted for their ability to be good guard dogs, right? And defend the home. But most people who have those animals don't have them expressly for those reasons, right? So we have some animals that we consider pets and keep as pets and we love as members of our family. And then there are some animals like cows, chickens, pigs, and others. Sometimes rabbits, right? Rabbits are in an odd zone where like some people keep them as pets and some people throw them in a pot, right? And we consider these animals to be livestock. They are raised so that they can be killed so that they can feed us, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Now again, if you want more ethical as raising an animal to kill it can be, right? If you want more ethical conditions for these animals, I can certainly understand that. I don't know how feasible it is when you look at the reality of the situation, but I don't think it's a bad goal or ideal to have, right? To make these animals as healthy as they can be and make their lives as good as they can be before their inevitable end and ending up on my plate, right? But we just view animals differently, and not even every country or culture views animals in the same way. As many of us are probably aware of, in India, cows are sacred. They're not killed. They're not slaughtered. Right? It's to the point that if a cow is like crossing a roadway or whatever, right? Traffic stops, and traffic stops until the cow moves, and no one tries to move the cow, right? Because they view cows differently, and that's fine. People in India have every right to view the cow as sacred. And I think that if you're a foreigner in India, you should respect that custom. Understand, they don't view cows the way we do. But I'm not in India. Cows are tasty. Simple as that. They make great hamburgers.
When all else fails, meat eaters assert that animals are not our equals.
Eh, I don't believe animals are our equals. Animals are different. Animals, legally speaking, have different rights and less rights than humans because they're not human. If you don't like the law, petition the lawmaker. Right? That's the best thing you can do. But naturally, just because animals are different and the way we view or value animal life is different, does not in any way give anyone the right to abuse an animal. Especially in today's world, given how attached people are to their pets. Somebody finds out that you've been abusing an animal, you might find John Wick at your door.
I heard all your laughter. I know some of these must be new ideas, or you think they're fringe or whatever.
New ideas, no. Fringe, probably not. But simply asinine, yes.
Our whiteness is part of the problem of meat eating.
I am part Native American. I am descendant of people who literally chased buffalo down, who moved where the buffalo moved. Honey, meat eating is not a result of whiteness, nor is whiteness inherently bad, but it is not a result of whiteness. It is a result of literally trying to survive. And you do not recognize your own privilege in most likely, I mean, again, she's older, so maybe she does have some hunting experience, but I doubt it. Right? But you, living in a Western country, right, having certainly enough means and resources to be able to speak in front of these people about this, you have the luxury of going to a supermarket or just ordering your food offline, right? Sorry, online. I will say that one of the downsides of the upside of being able to get your meat or get food in general easily is that most of us are not familiar with how difficult it is really to obtain this food because our understanding of obtaining it is go to store, buy it, bring it back home, or order it online, it is delivered to my home. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us probably have not been farmers, right? Or migrant workers or picked fruit from the ground or from trees or hunted animals. Most of us don't know that physical labor and struggle of literally living off the land, right? And that was a struggle that was much more common, right? Even in like the 1800s, where industrialization really hit the West fast and hard, right? But most of us, again, not all of us, but most of us in the modern day today, especially if we're living uh, Western lands, right? If we are privileged enough to have enough resources to maintain a relatively decent lifestyle in a Western land, right? Or in, let's say, first world country, because not every country in the first world country is a better term, right? Most of us don't know that struggle, right? Most of us don't know that struggle because most of us don't need to know it. What was once a regular staple of life and of culture and of just growing up, right? Like literally, there were like rites of passage, especially for young men, right? That involved hunting. There were rites of passage for women that involved, cooking and being able to prep food and all this other stuff. By and large, those of us in the modern world don't need that anymore, don't experience that anymore. The closest we get to it is reading it in a history book, right? So while that's a wonderful upside, right, not needing to know what that's like, the downside is that we don't know what it's like. So we don't know just how intense and laborious and fickle, right, actually living off the land can be, because a lot of us don't live in a situation where we have to do that. And again, that is a result of luck, hard work for some of us, and privilege. I'm privileged. She's privileged. If you're watching this video, you're probably privileged too, at least in this regard. And for her to claim that it's whiteness is quite frankly a racist insult, in my opinion. I eat meat. I'm not going to make you eat meat, but I eat meat. And I'm not going to apologize for it. And all her arguments make me want to do is make another hamburger. But anyway, that's the video. Yes, I can turn a 1 minute 38-second video into nearly 40. That's my superpower. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day and night wherever you are.